What was the Stonewall Uprising? A historical humans production. The Stonewall Uprising occurred during the early morning hours of June 28, 1969. The uprising was sparked by a police raid on the Stonewall Bar in the Greenwich Village neighborhood of New York City that resulted in 6 days of protest and police clashes in the area around the bar. This begs the question, just what exactly was the Stonewall Uprising? In order to understand the Stonewall Uprising, some context is required. The mid-20th century saw the United States undergo the Lavender Scare, a politically induced panic designed to villainize homosexuality, particularly homosexual men, that saw state and federal legislatures expand upon already existing discriminatory anti-sodomy laws, as well as a police crackdown on sexual deviation of any kind. The social pressures that the Lavender Scare had created resulted in the Stonewall Bar, a relatively safe haven for homosexual and non-gender conforming activity. This was due to the Stonewall Bar's mafia ownership, which viewed the persecuted LGBTQ+ community as an exploitable group for profiteering, paying off the police for advance notice on any police raids at the Stonewall Bar. These payoffs allowed the Stonewall Bar and its patrons to hide any illicit activity prior to the arrival of the police. Tensions over anti-gay discrimination would spill over on June 28, 1969 with the Stonewall Uprising, when the police raided the Stonewall Bar without providing Stonewall's mafia ownership, the Genovese crime family, with advance notice. The uprising occurred at the Stonewall Bar when bar patrons, who had been escorted outside by police but had not dispersed, witnessed a police officer beat a lesbian woman he had arrested. Tradition holds that the Stonewall Uprising began when a member of the crowd threw a brick at the officer. Tradition also holds that the person who threw that first brick was Marsha P. Johnson, a prominent gay rights activist and self-affirmed drag queen. Regardless of who threw the first blow, the crowd around Stonewall quickly sprang into action, hurling bottles, cobblestones, and anything they could get their hands on at the police. A number of police officers barricaded themselves inside the bar, which caught fire shortly after as the crowd attempted to breach the building. Although the fire department quickly arrived to break through the crowd and douse the flames, the crowd did not disperse, and the protest, now involving thousands of people, continued in the vicinity for a further 5 days. The crowds blocked off Christopher Street, where the Stonewall Bar was located, holding hands, chanting, and forming barricades at the ends of the streets with overturned cars in an effort to keep police out. The Stonewall Uprising saw the expansion of the Medicine Society, a gay rights activist group that had been advocating for gay rights since 1950 across the United States. The creation of the Gay Liberation Front, which, before its dissolution, funded an underground newspaper and publicly pressured political figures for the LGBTQ+ community, and later the formation of the Gay Activist Alliance, which organized mass protests to push for an end of anti-gay legislation. The full legacy of the Stonewall Uprising would become apparent 1 year later when on June 28, 1970, thousands of people returned to the Greenwich Village for the first annual Christopher Street Liberation Day March. This event would spread across cities throughout the United States and beyond, becoming the Pride Parade we have today. The Stonewall Uprising was a 6-day riot by members of the LGBTQ+ community outside the Stonewall Bar in New York City in response to decades of discriminatory legislation against them. The uprising was sparked by an act of police brutality against a member of the LGBTQ+ community, and in turn sparked the creation and expansion of gay rights activist groups, as well as the creation of the Pride Parade. We at Historical Humans would like to take a moment to acknowledge fellow YouTuber iilluminaughtii, whose video Taste the Rainbow of Capitalism inspired the writing of this video. You can find a link to her video in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like down below and to subscribe, and be sure to follow all of our socials listed below. Thank you for watching. We will see you guys in the next video.